Greetings, good people, and welcome to this week's Struggle to Success. This week we are going to be dealing with health, and we are fortunate to be joined by a great company of individuals that will share some of their stories and share some of their testimonies in regards to health, struggling to success when it comes to health. The show's sponsored by Legacy Foundation, Legacy Gala, Pansy, and the Lottery Fund, and we thank them for the support. We have this conversation will be very interesting and very informative, impactful, educational, and we look forward to the testimonies and the stories. My name is Marlon Morris, and I'm one of the hosts. I'm joined by three other hosts: Basil Palmer, Deborah Robinson, Kim Thompson, and our resident therapist, Scotty. We have three guests, international guests, four guests actually, two local from London, the UK, Nina Greywood and Sandra Salazar.
That's right.
Salazar?
That's right.
Okay, I got that right. And Liz Afua, is it Afua?
Wafula.
Sorry?
Wafula.
Wafula, that's right, from Australia, and we have Regina Santos from the United States of America. So at this point, I'm going to hand over to our lovely Kimberly.
Hello, good evening, people. My name is Kim Thompson. I'm the Rise UK, advocates of supporting small businesses and entrepreneurs, improving relationships with parents and families, qualified mentor and coach. I unite establishments with Black-owned businesses, institutions, organizations, and educational establishments by collaborating and promoting and utilizing their services.
Great stuff. Okay, thank you, Kim. I want to ask Deborah, Basil, and Scotty just to introduce yourself briefly, and then we'll dive straight into the guest sharing. So go ahead, Deborah. Volume, just need a bit of volume.
You're on mute.
Need to unmute myself. Hi, my name is Deborah Robinson, and I am an assistant head teacher. I am a classroom teacher. I've been teaching English for 22 years. I've also done a lot of work in Hackney and Haringey. I am on various boards in Hackney, Hackney Schools Group Board, Pembury Children's Board, and also the Hackney Schools Group Board. I work with parents and I work with people in the local community, essentially empowering them in order to help them navigate, especially the education system. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. There's some feedback we're getting. If anyone's got any devices, please could you just switch it off. Thank you very, very much. I'd like to introduce Basil Palmer at this time.
Oh, good evening all, and it's good to be here again. Another week, good to hear. I'm really looking forward to this show. So I specialize in health and well-being, one of my businesses, and I'm really excited about today's show. So yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you, Basil. And our resident therapist, Scotty, please introduce yourself, sir.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm Anthony Scott. Scott, everyone calls me. I've been working in the helping profession for about 20 years, and I qualified as a therapist 5 years ago. And yeah, I'm a psychotherapist, counselor.
Thank you, Scotty. All right, so people are asking why struggle to success? A lot of us like to present the glory. We don't like to share the story, and there needs to be a balance. A lot of us share the ups, but we don't share the downs, and that's doing our kids and our kids an injustice because we're not sharing the roadmap to how we got to where we need to be. So struggling to success is about empowerment, education, and basically information. We're using this platform for people to take away, to protect their mental health, promote good mental health, and also use the platform as an intervention so we can have a conversation as a family meeting where people can tap in and say, listen, I need a bit of help, I need a bit of support. How did you get through what you got through to help me through these times? Because we're living in some changing times. It's challenging for the family, it's challenging for men and women, for our children. So we're just using this platform to empower ourselves, educate, inspire, and inform ourselves on how to deal with our mental health. So that's why we're saying struggle to success. At this point, I'm just going to introduce Nina and kick it off with you, Nina, because I think, the reason why I'm kicking it off with you, because I feel like you're just a natural. I think that you make everybody feel comfortable, and I think it'll be a good place to pick up from where we left off last week, which we didn't have enough time. So this week's about health. Just introduce yourself and dive into some of your struggles to success when it comes to health.
When it comes to health.
Yeah.
Okay, so my name's Nina Greywood. I was on the show last week. Where am I looking? Am I looking over there?
Which camera are you looking in?
This one.
This one here.
Right, okay, sorry. So I was on the show last week. We did touch on health briefly last week. When it comes to health, if I'm honest, I'm not a very healthy person. I never have been. But it's not a lie. I don't eat healthily. I don't drink enough water. I don't exercise. I started going to the gym Monday, because Marlo forced me to.
Yesterday.
Was it yesterday? But if you saw me this morning in the gym looking at myself, yeah, I can see the difference.
With a big furry coat, looking like a polar bear.
You have to keep warm. So yeah, I'm not a very healthy person. So I'm especially interested in Liz's story, because I know that Liz has got a really powerful story to share with us. So maybe I'm not really the one to start off with, to be fair, because I'm not healthy.
No, but you have helped other people to be healthy, and that's one of the stories I would like to share on this.
Or is that what you're trying to lead round
Yes,
to the
yeah.
kidney donation?
So, yeah.
Okay.
How did that work, and how did that happen?
Okay,
Tell the
so
story leading up to that.
7 years ago, I donated a kidney to one of my clients, or one of my clients' children. And how it came about, it was quite random, really. And now, well, I understand why I did it now, but I didn't understand why I did it then. So at the time, I just felt like it was a really good idea.
You had a dream, though.
We'll come back to that. Do you know what I mean? So it all started, like I said, 7 years ago. Someone that I knew, she was on dialysis, and she used to go to Whittington Hospital to go and get her treatments. And when she used to go past in her little hospital car, she'd stop, and myself and my partner Audrey would run outside and go and talk to her, converse with her for a few minutes. Anyway, one day I went outside, I went to talk to her, and she looked awful. I mean, this was a woman, she was like 25 stone, she was massive. But then she'd shrunk down to maybe, I don't know, 8 stone. She was like a skeleton. She was awful, like her skin was hanging off her. And I went back inside the salon and I said to Audrey, do you know what? I think I'm going to give her one of my kidneys. And Audrey was like, okay. Yeah, because that's just something, something that so anyway, when I spoke to Maggie later on that evening, and she was saying that she was too poorly to have an operation, so she wasn't on the transplant list, but she knew somebody that did, and the person that she knew happened to be children. So I got in touch with that client. Then we got in touch with the hospital. I had to go up there and have tests. The same day that I got tested, her dad also got tested. Then about a week later, I was at home, and the hospital phoned me. Nina, are you at home? Yes. Are you by yourself? Yes. Okay, sit down. I'm like, okay, because I thought they were going to tell me something really shocking. And they said, well, you're a match. So I was like, okay. So I said, what about her dad? No, he wasn't a match. So I'm like, okay then. So they said, go talk about it with your friends and family. Don't make an instant decision. It's a big decision. So when you're ready, just get back to us. This is no, it's all right. I'm going to do it. So as soon as I put the phone down from them, I phoned the person that I was going to give the kidney to and told her. And the reason that I did that is because I didn't want all of my friends and family to try and talk about it, because I really wanted to do it. The whole process took about a year. We had to go back and forth to the hospital, have different tests for this, that, and blah, blah, blah. And then we finally did it August, what are we now? 2015, I think it was, or 14. And yeah, I was in the hospital for a week. She was in the hospital for 2 weeks because she had my kidney and she had somebody else's pancreas. And yeah, that's it.
Wow, how's she doing now?
Don't know. I ain't seen her. She took my kidney and run. I've seen her 3 times since. And every time I've seen her, she's been fine. But, yeah, she's good.
I remember following your story, Nina. I remember following and listening to you document your story because you documented it on Facebook, and it was actually a little bit surreal watching you because I remember you in the hotel, not in the hotel, in the hospital bed. You talked about when you were just going down. I remember it categorically. And it's funny because you say that you didn't know why you were doing it. And at the time, it didn't come across that way. It came across as if you were quite decisive and just wanted to be, selfless. And there was this real sense of altruism. Your goodness within you almost, superseded your real logic. So I thought that was really magnanimous of you, for you to donate an organ and also document your story on Facebook, which I really remember following, and being so open about it. So I'm glad you're returning to it, and I was wondering whether you were able to reflect now and think about A, would you do it again, and B, whether you've really come to an understanding as to why you did it.
Okay, so there's 3 points I want to make. So when now I know why I did it. At the time, I didn't know why I was doing it. I just felt compelled to do it. Like it was a good idea. I'm going to do it. It's only a kidney. You won't notice it's missing. So I didn't understand what the big deal was. I was talking to Marlo the other day and I was telling him about a dream that I had when I was 15. I used to work in a salon called Tangles in Tottenham. And the woman that I worked for, her name was V. We're still very good friends now. And I had a dream, and I went to work and I told her about the dream. And basically the dream was I was on a train. In the train, I could feel the presence of God next to me. I could feel Jesus next to me. I couldn't see him, but I knew it was him. And at the time, I had on this brand new pair of white trainers. This is all in a dream. And there was a guy sitting opposite me, and all I could see was his jeans and his trainers, and his trainers were beat down. Yeah. And then Jesus said to me, take off one of your trainers and give it to the guy. So I was like, that makes no sense. No sense at all. And it was like, just take off one of your trainers and give it to the guy. I can't remember if I actually did it in the dream, but I remembered the dream. Anyway, I went to work the next day and I told V all about this dream. Now, V is a devout Christian, but she didn't have a clue. She said, just pray about it, which is what Christians that don't know what anything's about say, pray about it. So I did, never got an answer. Then fast forward 30 years, I had like, I don't know, an epiphany, like, oh my God, that's what that dream meant. I was giving away one of a good pair to somebody that had a pair that wasn't so good. So it made sense. So as far as I was concerned, it was something that I was destined to do from the beginning of time. God placed it in my heart that I was going to do it. But fast forward again, I've suffered from depression for the longest times, depression, anxiety, and I've recently been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Yeah, it's deep. So I do spontaneous things. I do things that are completely random and just whatever. So in all the years that I've been telling people that I don't know why I wanted to do it, I just wanted to do it. And me not understanding why other people wouldn't do it is part of my condition. Do you get what I mean? I honestly, I still can't see the big deal about giving away an organ. I really cannot see the big deal about
That's
it.
the greatest thing. The Bible says, greater love than no man than this, than a man would lay down his life for a friend. You lay down You're like, even though you were going through your struggles with your health and you didn't value your health, you valued a stranger's health more so that you was prepared to give part of your own body.
But you know what? It's not even that I didn't value my health. It was, I honestly didn't see what the big deal was. I don't feel my kidneys. I just don't. I don't know they're there. I can't tell you where my appendix is. I can't tell you where none of my internal organs are because I don't feel them. So me taking one out that I don't need and giving it to somebody.
Do you know, for most people,
Nina, can I ask you something? So what would you say to anyone considering donating either an organ or blood within our community now, knowing what you know now?
Do it. You get biscuits. You're off work for 6 weeks. Everyone looks after you. Do it. And it's the greatest. You're on drug. Listen, if someone said to me, Nina, lie down, we're now going to take this rusty instrument and cut you open with no anesthetic, my girl will be waiting for that kidney all now. Do you know what I mean? But I was going to be under anesthetic. I wasn't going to feel anything. And I was going to wake up and I was going to have grapes and I was going to go home. So it really isn't. When people say that they're scared to do it or they make such a big deal out of it, it really isn't. My scar is this big. You know, it's not like back in the day where they rip you open from all the way down your side. It's this big, a little hole right here. And when they go in and they slit you here and they pull it out. And
you've had no ill effects after the...
No, afterwards, and when I say afterwards, I mean immediately afterwards. So like the next day, I was downstairs with my drip, smoking fags outside. Yeah. And I had a Nigerian nurse, not that her nationality is relevant. In fact, it is relevant because she was really coarse and she was really strict with me. And obviously I've just had open surgery, so I shouldn't be going downstairs smoking cigarettes, but I had morphine in it. So every minute I'm pressing the button, getting my morphine. I didn't feel a thing until they took the morphine off me. So I was a person that I could easily get out of bed, go to the toilet on my own, go downstairs, smoke my cigarettes, all the rest of it. But as soon as that Nigerian nurse, can't remember her name, but as soon as she took the morphine away from me and gave me paracetamol, then I knew that I just had my kidney removed. That's when I knew. The pain was like no pain I've ever known. But that was all right, because when her shift finished, somebody else gave me morphine. So I was all right. But yeah, I would encourage anyone to do it. It really isn't. We make such a big deal out about giving blood and donating organs, and it really isn't that big a deal. I'm not going to give her my heart.
Do you think there's something to be said about the Black community in terms of donations, organ donations? You know, obviously we're living in the COVID vaccine climate. There is that sense of mistrust, understandably. But do you think that, you know, we know about the Daniel DeGale organization set up in his honor, but is there something to be said? Because there's always this kind of, you know, begging that goes out because we are, you know, it's harder to find a donor match for, you know, Black Caribbean, etc. So is there something to be said about how much we are willing to understand what affects our bodies and what we can do without, you know?
Yeah, totally. I get what you mean. With regards to the ACLT, I've worked very closely with them over the years, and we've done various campaigns. We've been on news, we've been on radio, trying to get Black people to try to give blood, donate. But I think it's fear. I don't think that we are very trusting of the national health. And I think there's fear. I don't know if there's not enough information available or what, I don't know. I know that the year that I donated my kidney, there was only 19 people of color in the UK that donated. And I'm talking family, anything, 19 people. There's like 650 people yearly that's on the list, and only 19 people donated. And the thing is, like, any of us at any time could get ill. We don't know what the future holds. We don't know. And tomorrow, God forbid, if you needed a kidney, you'd want someone to give it to you, innit? You know, so as far as I'm concerned, why would you not give one of yours? It makes no sense to me. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
I think you're amazing.
Thanks.
I don't know anybody. I'm not just saying that, but listening to it again and hearing you talk, I don't know nobody that has that's done what you've done to save somebody else. And
That's a shame. It's a real shame.
Yeah.
That is a real shame, because it's not, you know, I encourage anybody. I'm not saying you must all go away and give away your organs, but donating your blood and things like that, it's not to your detriment. It really isn't. And you can save somebody else's life. God forbid you get into an accident, a car crash, whatever, you're going to need blood. That blood comes from somewhere. Do you know what I mean? So if you don't give it, why should somebody else give it? Do you know what I mean? I think we've all got a duty or obligation. Me, not so much. I've done my bit. But I think everybody else has got an obligation to at least give blood or find out how they can give back.
Well,
And to stem the shortage, the government has got that opt-out scheme. So if you haven't opted out, your organs will automatically go to someone in need.
And that's another thing that I don't understand. When they were bringing that policy in, there were so many people that I spoke to that said that they were going to opt out. But that's something that I don't understand. That's another thing. I think that it's about our culture and the things that we're taught and religion and the rest of it. Because when we're dead, we don't need our organs. So why would you opt out of letting somebody live with something that you no longer need?
I think one of the reasons might be people might feel fearful that they're not quite dead, that there's a potential for them to still stay alive. But because their organ might be needed elsewhere, that the service quality might be compromised.
I hear you. I hear you. But my thing is, why?
Because the people that are taking the organs out are real people. And lots of us have experienced.
So sorry to cut you, so you think that there's a possibility that you might be on your way out, but you're not quite on your way out, but Marlo needs your organ, so let's kill you, take your organ and give it to Marlo. That's what potentially people think is happening.
Could you use somebody else?
Sorry, Marlo. That's what people potentially think is happening.
That's a genuine. Not saying that's what people think is happening, but I think that's a genuine fear that you've taken something, and it could be to my detriment. That maybe there's a fact. It may not be real, but you hear a lot of stories about people going into hospitals and things happening, and they, all of a sudden they come out dead. So I think there's a level of fear there.
How do you think we get around that?
Education is the only way. I mean, personally, I've given blood for years and years. And you're quite right. But I think that if you really want to drill down as to why people wouldn't do that, the principal reason I would imagine would be
down to fear and miseducation,
and down to how they potentially would be treated. And for some people it might also be a religious thing as well. Yeah, because you've got people like Jehovah's Witnesses that wouldn't even take blood if they needed blood. But I think it's understandable why somebody would say that. But as you say, we all need it, and when we're dead, it's no good to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think as well. Thank you, Basil. I think before we move on to our next guest, and we're coming back to you now. Part of the solution is people like yourself coming on these platforms and educating, inspiring, and giving information. You know what I'm saying? Because what you've just done there has helped me. So I'm trying to say to you, we had the Be Positive Choir come to the Legacy Gala in 2018, and they campaigned for the ACLT, Afro-Caribbean Leukemia Trust, and a lot of people signed up to give blood, like Basil. So things like what you do is definitely more. We need more people like you. So thank you. I just want to say you're amazing. And as you said, you were moved through compassion and love to help somebody that needed help. And that was your struggle to success, even though you needed help yourself with the smoking, not going gym, eating pork, but you still gave that kidney that was protected, that brand shiny trainer, to somebody else that didn't have a nice trainer. So God bless you. I want to move over to, this is a family discussion. It's like a family meeting. So we don't have to be too formal. We're just going to have a meet and greet. And we're going to go over to Australia and to bring in our sister Liz. Liz from Liz Wafula. Did I get it right?
Liz.
Liz, did I get it right?
You got it right.
Okay. So before you come in, Liz, I met Liz and she was very interesting to me. And I felt, her story she will talk about, but she's Kenyan. She moved to Australia and she's had a great journey. And this topic was about health, and she's got a story which I feel like will empower and educate us and inspire us. So I just want to bring you in, Liz, and just basically talk about who you are, your journey, how you got left from Kenya to Australia, and your health challenges and the glory behind the story behind the glory.
Okay, thanks, Marlo. Yeah, as you have introduced me, my name is Liz. I'm a Kenyan born and bred, and to Australia in 2004 Father's Day and Kids. Yeah, that has been a journey, and health and wellness was not really a thing that I was actively thinking. If I have to reflect on that, up until the year 2018, or rather 2017 to 2018, when I had my own challenge, I got to things about health that I did not actively practice, but God.
Something.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hold on, Liz. You're breaking up intermittently. I don't know if it's our side or your side, but yeah, carry on, please.
Yes, so I did actually get quite involved with matters health up until 2019, when I started to become a bit more proactive around that. And the reason for that is that I put on quite a bit of weight between 2018 and 2019, and all my clothes couldn't fit anymore. And I realized that I needed to do something. Otherwise, I would just keep going a size up. And to some extent, that started affecting my self-esteem. And so just started to be proactive about it around then. I don't know.
Sorry, Liz, I don't want to interrupt you, but I didn't catch what you said. What size did you go up to?
I think I was a size 12, and I went up to size 18, and I feel very self-conscious about that, thinking about it. And that basically just sums how I felt, to be honest. I remember looking at myself in the mirror and being the biggest I'd ever been, or rather, the biggest I'd ever been in my life, and just wondering how I got there, really, just wondering how I got to that size. And to be quite honest, that during that time when I put on that weight, there was a lot of issues that I was going through. I had a couple of challenges that I had to overcome at the time. And all that, I realized that in my way of coping, I resorted to eating a lot of junk and just not being conscious about what I had. So it was where I would look at myself and see the effects of my choices. And I didn't really feel so good about that.
Sorry,
So,
did you take that to your family, or you kept that to yourself inwardly?
I really didn't talk about it, and my family also didn't really say much about it, because at the time I was going through a difficult phase in my life. So I felt like they were being supportive enough just not to talk about it. Yeah, so it wasn't really a conversation I had, only up until a certain point when I was beginning to come out of the phase that I was in, that my dad lovingly, who might be watching me, mentioned and just said, oh, maybe you can start a little bit, just try and see how you can, check on your weight, start with little manageable steps, but no pressure at all. I've got to say that there's no pressure given to me. And I think that environment within my family, the loving, positive, encouraging environment kind of just became the push factor for me. I was like, okay, maybe I could give it a try. Let's see what happens. Yeah.
Were you living in Kenya at the time when you put on the weight?
Yes, I was in Kenya.
Is it more socially acceptable to be larger when you're in Africa? Is it more the British culture that makes you think that you have to be a size 10? Because in Africa, size 10 ain't the norm.
Well, probably it would be more socially acceptable, but I think now more than ever, there's been more conversations towards healthy living and, being fit, right? So it's not really about the size, but for me, that was personal. It's just how I felt about myself. I wasn't really happy with the person I was seeing in the mirror. So it wasn't so much about what other people thought and more about how I felt about myself at the time.
So what did you do to change it? What was the first step that you took?
The first step that I took was just, okay, I've got to mention this part. I saw a friend of mine literally shrink in size. She was bigger, quad.
You just hate that?
Sorry?
Don't you just hate when your big friend loses weight and now it's just you on your own?
Well, not really. I think for me, it was just that I saw. I mean, and I was in her life actively at that point, and I saw the habits, what she used to do, and I could see the change, and I got to see that it was actually possible. So in my back of my mind, I knew that this is possible, but I did action that immediately. So when I being more mindful and conscious about my health, I remember the things she used to do and delved into a lot of research just to try and understand, what are the factors that affect your health, your weight, the role of nutrition and exercises and how all that plays around. So I became actively interested in that and did a lot of reading here and there just to get my head around, a sustainable way to manage my health.
So did you join a gym? Did you start walking, swimming? What did you do?
As fast as I focused on nutrition because I realized that was the thing. I wasn't never been a very physically active person. Didn't really sport in school and things like that. What I do. So my point was in nutrition. So I know that sugar.
Sorry, Liz, 1 second. There's something about the device that's breaking up. Have you got any other devices on, or is anybody else? Or is it just one device?
I can try.
While Liz is trying to amend her devices, I think it's important to also recognise that Black people are 10% more likely to experience psychological issues, which then leads to the fact that we are disproportionately affected by mental health issues. And it was interesting, the question that Nina posed, because we know that we are affected by the way in which we are represented and continued to, and the way in which we are continued to be represented. And again, it would be interesting to see how these, perceptions of Black women actually, start from a young girl and actually follow us through into adulthood, which then disproportionately affects our mental state. So I think, in what Liz was just saying, it probably also comes down to recognizing when you know, there is something psychologically troubling, and that in itself needs to be tackled at a young age. And if we can address girls, Black girls in school who actually suffer in silence, especially, if we can address them and get them to open up, then actually, you know, it probably won't be a baggage or a burden that they take into their adulthood. Black women and Black people are disproportionately affected by a number of health issues, and again, possibly leading to weight gain. Don't know if you want to come in here, Kim, and you know, endorse anything I've said there.
Well, I'm just going to reiterate what you said, because basically, remember, it starts from a young age, and what affects you mentally from a young age, if it's not dealt with, it continues into your adult stage.
Can I just say something?
And that's when, you know.
Sorry, Kim.
Go on, Nina.
What you said about it starting from a young age, I think with us as Black people, you have to finish what's on your plate. If you don't finish what's on your plate, you're going to get beaten. So you're force fed. You have to eat things that you don't even like. Do you know what I mean? So we're encouraged from a very young age to overeat. So it's something that's like it's forced on us. It's not our fault.
So can I jump in here? Just before I ask a question and bring back Liz. Deborah, have you got any devices that are on? Or Kim, please, if you have, just turn them on, please.
No.
Yeah? Because there is some feedback coming from somewhere.
No.
But fine, thank you very much. Before I bring you back in, Liz, headphones. Have you got headphones? Can you put any headphones on, Deborah?
I don't have any devices on, and when I'm not talking, I'm muted, so you can't hear anything. I'm in silence.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not talking as well. So
no worries. Look, this subject is very important to me because I have a daughter that's very, very fluffy as well, and I hope she doesn't see this program.
You called her fluffy.
Yeah, and she's been, you know, similar to a lot of young women, struggling to success when it comes to the fluffiness. How, as a father, do I? Because I've paid for a fitness instructor, I've paid for the gym, I've asked her to come and live with me. I've basically said, look, I'll pay you money to do whatever needs to be done just to help you, inspire you to kind of get on that road of, I have to be very wise in how I say this, to help with the fluffiness.
Sorry.
How
can you stop saying fluffy, Marlo, please?
Obesity.
Obesity.
That's not better.
Is she clinically obese?
Okay, Basil, can you hear me on some of the language, the terminology?
She's on the larger size.
Basically, I understand what you're saying, but there's lots that you can do. Yeah, and the thing is, you are what you eat. Principally, unless you've got something medically wrong with you, you are what you eat. So often, you know, the amount of sugar that you eat, or fizzy drinks, which is another form of sugar, you know, portion control, things like exercise, things like sleep, and also the sort of programs that you might have, like cleansing programs, you know, even bowel functionality. A lot of these things can contribute towards people storing extra weight, taking too many calories. So there's quite a lot you can do. You just need to have a holistic strategy, because otherwise,
maybe it's the approach as well.
Liz, I want you to come back in. Thank you, Basil. I want you to come back in for
Can
the
I
next.
introduce Regina? Because she's going to want to be
talking. Yeah, we're definitely going to go to Regina. Don't worry, Kim. We're definitely going to get to Regina next. I just want Liz, because she's come all the way from Australia. It's 7 hours ahead, so she's actually staying up to sacrifice. So I want you to feel free to just share how you got, how you talked about that success path, getting back healthy. But I want to go back to the struggle because you came from Kenya. The reason why you went to Australia, and you know, the mental and the psychological struggles and obstacles you were facing to get back on the path of health, physical health. Could you just share a bit about that? What challenges you're going through?
Yeah, I've got to say that in my family, we're very close knit, and I've been blessed to be able to grow with my brothers and sisters and my brothers and of course my cousins and all that. So I'd never really been so far away from home, and here I am going miles away. All my life, I was always close to home. So coming to Australia removed me from my familiar, and came on here, didn't really have family, made friends when I got here, and it was quite challenging for me. It was quite challenging for me in a moment, and you know, despite the challenge, I felt compelled to achieve what had brought me here. Coming all the way, I giving up was just not an option, basically. So that came with its own sets of challenges, like loneliness. That was a big one. Loneliness was a big one because of the time difference as well. There were bouts of time when I could not connect to the people I loved and cared for as much to, share some of the struggles I was going through at the time. And that also manifested in my eating habits, because I remember whenever I'd feel sad, lonely, I would go to Nando's, which apparently every Kenyan, I think, coming to Australia really gets to love because the food is tasty and all that. So I would go, and anytime I would have a low, I remember I would drive to Nando's and have something before going home. And that became habitual. Didn't get to realize how much that was becoming a habit. And anytime I would go through any challenge, for a long time, I would just resort to eating, just to kind of kick in the that feel good feeling. So, sorry, I lose you a little bit. What exactly did you want me to talk about?
Yeah, just the psychological and mental struggles you were going through, going to a new country, and how that might have led to habitual habits that caused you to put on weight.
Okay. So by God's grace, I successfully went through my master's program. Unfortunately, around December of 2017, my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer, and that really, really hit me hard, like really hit me hard. And I remember feeling very disoriented at the time, and just resorted to working too hard and eating a lot as well, just as a way of coping. And at the time, it was a bit of a struggle for me because I couldn't really talk to mom at the time the way I was used to talking to her, because she was going through her own health challenges. So that was really bad. It drove me to depression. And I isolated myself. And we just go on, not really wanting to engage, just staying indoors and just going through the whole, funk of it. And that led me to hospital. I got admitted to hospital. But I didn't really take it positively at that time. I've got to say that. I really didn't take it positively. I was in denial. I felt shame. And just resorted to more eating. So what happened is it got to a point, it was so bad, I had to go home, because as you may have picked, family is very important to me. It's what keeps me together. So when I realized I wasn't coping, the best thing at the time was for me to go home. And I remember when I went home, I got the reassurance from my father, and he said to me, you know what? You always have a home. And when the world beats you so hard, you always have a home. And when you're here, you don't have to think about bills. You don't have to think about anything. And so what did Liz do? Liz relaxed. I remember I would cook everything I loved. I would not really engage in much. Didn't really feel like, engaging with people, interacting with people. So basically, I would eat and sleep. eat all my favorite things, and sleep. So my family loved on me. So that state of relaxation, that state of not worrying about anything and also just eating up about anything, I felt like further contributed to my weight gain. And it's interesting because, like I mentioned earlier when we started, my dad said to me, and I'm really keen on saying this because Malo, I heard you ask about how you can assist your daughter. I've got to say this, that dad really made it easier for me because dad and I have a really easygoing relationship, and he loves to joke a lot. So he brought the issue up. Of course, I was on the bigger side. I could see it myself, but he didn't really make me feel like I was ugly or, and it was in a positive environment. And he said, you know what, maybe you should start eating boiled vegetables, and you were laughing about it. But I took it positively. And he was actively involved in helping me think of a strategy on how to lose weight. So it was where he was like, okay, think about how much weight you want to lose, and then break that into, say, weekly targets. And when we broke that down into little steps, it didn't sound so big. It didn't sound so hard. So with that, I think the inner child in me also wanted to make dad proud. So I would start by, cutting off the junk and starting off with exercises here and there, just to, work towards losing that, say, 1 kilo or half a pound a week, and just went on from there. At the back of my mind, I was really looking forward to that time. I would, give dad a call and say, hey, guess what? I lost half a pound. I lost a pound, just for that encouragement. And so that was my journey. But while I was also on that journey, I began to experience the benefits, the mental health benefits that come with being physically active. While on that journey, I realized that when I take a walk along the beach, just a polite walk, and I sweat it out a little bit, I feel good. I feel good in my head. I feel good in my body. The hardest bit was actually getting out of bed or out of the house to actually go around. But once I got myself out and did something physically, I felt wonderful. And I was like, oh, okay, if exercising can help me feel good, then maybe I don't really need to resort to junk and, and soda and all that. So for me, I realized that, okay, I can exercise and still get a high. I don't really need to eat to get a high. So I started embracing that more and more. And yeah, it's been nothing short of amazing, to be honest. What I'm learning, still running and still journeying. And what I'm beginning to see is that being physically active, and exercising and eating properly should not be looked upon as a punishment. It shouldn't feel like it's a punishment, like you're denying yourself, but rather in a way, not actually in a way, I'm convinced that for sure, if you really want to be truly happy, then be physically active in some form of way. Yeah.
Thank you, Liz. Before I jump over to Kim to introduce Regina, I'm just going to say thank you. Stay with us. And you've been an inspiration to me because, you've just kind of given me the key to how to deal with my daughter. So thank you for that. And you're amazing. For you to leave Kenya, go to Australia and be a champion, a motivational speaker now internationally, speaking to UK, Australia, Kenya, and now America. God's got a plan and a purpose for you. So well done. Kim, come in. Thank you.
Yes, Liz, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Definitely need to speak to you more. And on that note, I'm going to introduce my guest, Regina Santos. Are you there, Regina? Hello.
Here we go. I was on mute.
Fantastic. If you'd like to introduce yourself to everybody and tell us your story.
Thanks so much for bringing me on, Kim. Well, I am a well-being coach, so I'm a teacher and a coach, and my focal points in my practice are movement, Pilates, nutrition, and mindset. So with story totally resonated with me 100% because I grew up as a kid who self-soothed with food, specifically food. And I was looking to self-soothe because I was experiencing trauma and pain, like many of us have done when we were children. And the way I found comfort was to, eat my feelings, if you will. That's the only thing that I related to. And I grew up in a world where my family also emphasized the fact that we had to finish our food because, we were Filipino. We were in the Philippines. I got to the United States when I was 4. And when I got to the United States when I was 4, the big emphasis was to finish your plate because as an immigrant, you were fortunate to have the resources and the food that you had. So to not finish your food would be a waste. So all of these things that we all discussed completely resonated with me. So my journey as far as like looking to get healthier and having a healthier mindset led me to find teachers to help me figure out what systems are going to work for me so that I can break through my trauma and my pain. And that inspired me to become a teacher myself so that I can share the message that we don't necessarily have to stay in our trauma and our pain, and we can overcome these conditions, that the conditioned responses that we had, and create a life of fulfillment for ourselves. Yeah.
Regina, can you hear me?
Yes.
Where are you from?
Well, I was born in the Philippines and I got to Los Angeles when I was 4. So I'm in Los Angeles now.
And you're a well-being coach.
Yes.
You talked about Pilates and yoga.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how you got into that and how that's a benefit for health.
Well, thanks so much for asking about that. For me, Pilates is such a profound practice because it helps you get strong, but it also you're open at the same time. So you're strong in your center and your core, but then you're also open and you feel vibrant. And it's we focus on our core, we focus on our center. You can't see my hands when I'm placing my hands right below my like my breastbone around my solar plexus. And as some of the scientists know in this room, that there's been talk about how the gut is considered the second brain. There's about 30 neurotransmitters that we know that are processed around the gut. And it's similar to the amount of process of neurotransmitters are processed in the brain. So Pilates to me is a powerful practice, not only that, you can stretch and strengthen yourself, but you can also bring balance to your mindset and align your mindset and align your outlook on life by loving up your gut, basically. And then the yoga is, I consider myself more of a student of yoga because yoga is a lifelong practice. And yoga, to me, my practice of yoga is beyond the physical practice of the asanas. That's what we call the asanas. Yoga, is obviously comes from India, and in Sanskrit, it's really union. It means the union of people, of our bodies, our minds, and our spirits, our community. And it really comes from the idea that there is no separation. Because when we recognize the individual differences, whether it's with people, whether it's individuals and communities, or within ourselves, we recognize that each person, each function, each organ, for example, has a specific function in the body, whether it's the body of the community or the body of the person, but it's part of a whole. Then we understand that we're all the same and we see God in each other. And so for me, that's sort of the way I incorporate yoga into my personal philosophy and my personal practice.
Can I just say, Regina, I had no respect for yoga at all. I didn't respect it as a fitness. I thought it's for hippies. I'm not interested in it. And I remember years ago, Basil and I, remember Basil? We went to hot yoga, yeah, Basil thought it was a good idea. And yeah, I lasted about 2 minutes. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I was so upset.
What's hot yoga?
It's yoga, but it's hot.
Bikram yoga. I've done yoga for like 20 years.
Yeah? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Black man doing yoga. It's
Lots of black guys that do yoga.
What, a lot of black guys? I don't know.
Black people do yoga. In fact, a lot of people do yoga.
But not black men, though.
Okay. There's a black man there. Look, this one. He does it.
But you never told me that. I don't know.
Because he never told you doesn't mean doesn't tell everything. Anyway, back to what I was saying, Regina. Sorry, hon. I didn't respect yoga. Like I said, I thought it was easy. Like anyone can do that. All that bending. That's not real exercise. And like I said, we went to this class, and there was a woman. She must have been maybe in her mid 60s, 70s. And this woman was putting her foot behind her head. She was doing all kinds of things, and I couldn't do it. So I instantly didn't like her, and then I instantly didn't like yoga, and I never went back ever again. I had no respect for it. I didn't realize how.
But do you respect it now?
Absolutely, I respect it.
Okay, that's
but I'm still doing it.
Maybe you should try Pilates.
What would you tell some of the UK guys like myself that would benefit from yoga, and how could they reach out to you and get some support and maybe some coaching?
Well, let's see here. I feel okay for also, so yoga is a mindset, and then so there's the practice of the physical practice of yoga, and then there's also the sort of the philosophy of yoga, right? And Pilates is inspired by yoga. So, Pilates has only been around since like the 20s, and then yoga's been around for like thousands of years, right? So what I would say for those who are curious about being more youthful in your body, or being more youthful and having more vitality, I feel like that is something that is resonant for all of us who are maybe over 30, for example, right? If we're over 30, we're all already wondering, like, how can we keep our energy up? How can we be more inspired? How can we feel more youthful? And I feel like that's a really good way to inspire. Would you agree?
I would definitely agree.
Okay.
Regina, what would you say to Marlo's daughter to encourage her to change her body, mind, mindset, her soul, to encourage her to take up something in your kind of category, exercise-wise?
So thank you for asking that, Kim. That's an interesting question. I actually want to kind of like, bounce that off of Liz too, right? Because for me, when I was 12, I was 140 pounds. So I don't know what that translates into stones.
10 stones.
10 stones. So, and I knew that at that point, well, looking back now, of course, we know that it wasn't about necessarily the food, right? So I'm a Chopra instructor. I'm a Chopra meditation, Deepak Chopra meditation teacher, okay? And what we say in the Chopra world is that, we experience stress because we don't have our needs met. And there's like 4 ways that we can have our needs met. It's through attention, affection, acceptance, acknowledgement, and that's it. Affection, acceptance, acknowledgement, and attention. Now, perhaps maybe we can find a way, if Marlo, your daughter is not getting one of those 4 things, and to start from there, because I feel like it's very much less. The more people that I talk to, I've been teaching. So I've had a career as a publicist before I actually became a teacher and a coach. But so I've been teaching for almost 16 years now. The more people I see who come to me in these ways, it's less about the food. It's more about what they're looking to fill. There's a void that they're looking to fill, right? They're soothing themselves for a reason, right? Liz, would you agree to that point?
Yes, I totally agree. I agree.
And what would you say that you were looking to fill when you were eating?
Loneliness. Maybe loneliness, being so far away from home, not being in an environment that I had grown up and known. So yeah, and I think what you said, like the 4 points you pointed out are quite significant. And I think also it is very important when it comes to matters, say, body image, especially with young I think everyone, but mostly women, let's be honest. It's one of those things you've got to be very sensitive about when you're approaching it. And possibly if you can find a way of being light about it and offer reassurance that, what, first and foremost, you are beautiful just the way you are. It's not really about the size, but you are beautiful as a person. You are beautiful. And whether you are this big or this small, you are beautiful regardless. And then offering that love and nurturing environment. And the other thing that I also think helps, it's important to find things that you actually love and enjoy. For some, it's just dancing, or the Pilates you're talking about, or yoga. So it has to be something that you really would enjoy to do so that you can be able to do it for the long term.
Yeah, beautiful, right?
Sorry, darling, can I just jump in for 1 second? I just wonder, because we've got Scotty. I don't know if he's... Scotty, are you there?
No, he's not.
He's not?
Yeah.
No, he's not. I didn't think he was. I was going to say because...
We'll come in there closer to 9:30.
Oh, Scotty is there.
Scotty? Yeah, he's not in the position to be on right now. Virginia, going back to what you said, sorry, Liz, I didn't mean to cut you, but you were talking about food actually being the last thing. So it's normally because there's something that's missing within. So you're eating to fill a void, or it's a comfort. So it's not actually the food that you're craving. It was the 4 things that you mentioned. Attention, was it affection? Acknowledgement and encouragement. Right. So if you're not acceptance, so if you're not getting those things, then food would be the replacement for it. So I'm not getting any affection, so I'm going to eat a burger. I'm not being acknowledged, so I'm going to have the fries with that. I'm not being, nurtured, loved, or whatever it is. Food replaces those things. So food isn't actually the problem. It's the problem that was within. And with Liz, your problem was moving from Kenya to Australia. And that's where your battle with weight first started. Is that
That's
right?
true.
Right.
Yeah.
So that brings us neatly into Sandra and what Sandra does. Because Sandra, your company's called Go Grow. I can't remember. I'm so sorry.
You should know. You've been.
I know I've been there digging and picking cherries and yeah. So what is your company?
Planting tomatoes and all sorts.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, my company is called Go Grow with Love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so I'm a horticulturist, and I teach children, families to grow food.
And where can we find you? Okay, I'll tell you a little bit about Sandra. So, Sandra is being really humble. She's like the David Bellamy of the black world. And she has is it called an allotment? I don't want to say that. It sounds like
it's a land. It's land. Land.
Yeah, now in 2021 it's called land. When I was growing up, it was called an allotment. Yeah. And basically, what Sandra does, she grows food for the community, and she encourages people to come down there, grow their own food. She teaches them about growing food, nutrition, diet, all the rest of it. And so I just want you to expand a little bit.
Okay, all right,
it's
cool.
more than just
it is. Okay, so my motto is more than just food growing. Yes, indeed it is. It's more than just food growing. So yeah, food is just at the beginning. So I believe that everyone should be growing their own food. And like you rightly said, it starts from when they're young. So I begin my sessions with the little ones from the time that they can crawl. So when they're able to pick up the soil and put it in their mouth, that's good enough for me. And it goes on until, whoever wants to learn. But basically, yeah, I promote food growing in our community. And I do grow for the people. And yeah, that's what I do.
And in terms of it being a benefit for people with mental health, depression, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
How does it help? I mean, for me, I know that I had an amazing time when I came down to your log, even though I spent most of the time eating everything.
Yeah, you did.
Because it was nice.
Yes.
But I can understand the joy you get from planting something, watching it grow, talking to your little seedling.
I know, isn't it? That's so cute. We call it babies. Now that you got to really start with. So yeah, it is. Well, yeah, they're my babies. So this is more than just food growing, and you're going to hear me keep saying that because the food is at the peak of who you are. Like you rightly said, you are what you eat. The food in itself, it has, I mean, if you go into the scientific approach, I mean, come on, food has the scientific, it has all the components that you need. It's a fuel to your body, it's a fuel to your mind, it's a fuel to your spirit. Happy foods is what I'm about, is that little happy component that makes you happy, that makes you perform. And there's so much that you can do with food. And it's, you know, and actually when you grow your own food, it's so different than the food that you buy in supermarket. It's so different. And you really, really notice the difference. And Go Grow with Love is all about that. It's about growing with love. Not just growing food, but growing yourself as a being, as a person, spiritually. Yeah.
So listen, sorry, did you want to come in?
No, go ahead.
Sorry. As a woman, as a businesswoman, as a mother, as a single mother.
Yes.
Why horticulture? Why and why you got such a passion for women leading the land? Talk about that family dynamic because that was very interesting to me. That you felt like we as a family should be. The men have their role with the land. The women have their role with the land. And you brought it back to ancient times. And so, you know, that was interesting for me to hear and for this platform to hear as well. So,
well, thank you for asking that question. So, I didn't always grow food. I did a lot of work in the, what do you call it? Yeah, it wasn't about growing food. Basically, I had a dream. I had a dream.
Listen to your dreams.
I had a dream. I'm a city girl, and I had a dream. I saw myself being in nature, and I thought, what? There's no way that's going to happen. There's no way I'm going to swap my flat to be on the land getting my nails dirty. No way. It changed when I had my son. Yeah, and I wanted my son to be healthy. I didn't want my son to eat McDonald's. I didn't want his first words to be McDonald's. Although his first words were Old McDonald's, but that was for a different reason. It wasn't McDonald's. Old McDonald's had their farm and did. So, me, my fairy self. And it began from there. I began attending some sessions at the local nursery for him. And my passion grew when I first sowed my seeds and I saw the little sprout in germination. And it's a feeling that you have to experience. And this is why I'm so passionate about food growing, because I think everyone should experience that feeling. It's like, I mean, if you're a woman, you know, if you had children, not a woman, but if you have children, you know, when you give birth, after you forget about the pain, you just got, you know, you did that. That was a very similar feeling to how I felt when I planted that seed and I see it sprouting, and then it became something, and then it became something that I ate. And I was like, wow, you know, there's more to this, and how it made me feel. It went beyond just, you know, it went beyond just growing food. It went, you know, then it became like environmental, touching the soil, and we're seeing the connection and just taking time, mindfulness, all of that. It just put everything into perspective. It gave me a purpose it gave me a purpose, and I'm very proudly lead on that purpose. My purpose is to make sure that all of you, including you, will grow food and be what you eat. And on top of that, there's so much that you can do in terms of enterprise. with what you grow?
I've recently become a baby vegan. Basil has a string of shops, vegan shops, called Eat a Vegan. So I travel like 2 hours, 3 times a week to eat the delicious food. I didn't realize that vegan could be so tasty and nutritious, and it's been helping me. So I see the value in us individually and collectively eating well and also growing our own. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So,
right.
I mean, I thought it was very important for somebody like yourself to inspire some of these young people to at least turn their attention to the power and the healing of growing your own foods.
That's right. Rightly so. So, like you mentioned before as well, our role in this whole food growing field. Through my journey as a horticulturist, I then began to make my own research and change my life. And I went back in time because I wanted to get rid of everything that made me, and if that made sense, I wanted to get rid of the noise. I wanted to get rid of all the yucky stuff. I just wanted to feel free. I wanted to just get rid of all the, not saying the responsibility, but the heaviness that comes within today's society and the system. And I was looking for help and crying out for help, not looking, crying out. But I felt shame to cry out for help and ask for help. So I found my support in nature, and she opened up the doors, and I've had a good story. Yes.
When you say that you wanted to, sorry, Basil, when you say that you wanted to go back in time and like, would you mean like no telly, no car, no?
Oh no. That's one thing though. I wouldn't. I love nature, but I won't swap my cars for horses. Not just yet.
Okay.
Yeah. But everything else, yes.
So just nothing. Radio, no TV. Everything was nature.
Yeah, as much as I could, definitely.
Wow.
As much as I could, definitely.
And your son's grown like that?
My son absolutely hates it. Absolutely hates it. You will not find him in the garden. So I have to find other mediums to get him into the garden. And this is where the enterprise comes into. We call it road to farm. So get them, he enjoys seeing the money side of aspect of growing foods. So he's the one that deals with the money side of things in the business. He's the business side of things.
Basil can tell you about the money side.
Yeah.
Oh, Basil can tell you a whole heap about money.
So he does the finances, and he's 11, so he's very clued on.
So why don't you sell your vegetables
to Basil?
Well, Basil did come and visit me, didn't you, Baz?
Yeah. Not yet. I'm sure that can happen, but it's really, I really enjoyed my time at your, I'd say, farm rather than allotment.
Yeah, thank you.
But it was amazing, and I can see the therapeutic side, and from a physical perspective, tilling the soil is not that easy.
It's not easy,
and it's great. It's better than going to the gym.
It's a free pass. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm sure. Who are your main targets? Like, who do you support most?
Okay, yes, yeah. I initially, like I said, I began my my journey to horticulture through my son. So my main target with children, because obviously I had to accommodate my lifestyle as a mother with the work that I was doing. So to be able to do that and follow my newfound passion, I began to teach my passion in schools, in nurseries, in children's centers, and 10 years on, I'm still doing that alongside the commercial aspect of growing. But now I find a new passion, and my new passion is self-care, and my new passion is helping my sisters to reconnect themselves to the land, which leads us to the new program that we are now running called Women Leading with the Land, where we're inviting women of the Caribbean and African descent to come and join us to learn all about what the land has to give us in terms of cultivation, in terms of production, in terms of distribution, in terms of enterprise, in terms of mindfulness, pretty much everything that land can give. And what it taught me, I want to share with my sisters so that they can find, they can feel, and they can also, support
Sandra,
with it. Yes.
Sandra, what's your take on holistic care versus the pharmaceutical care? Because, we should be, I've been looking into CMOS, that carries a lot of nutrients, vitamins, that kind of thing. So do you also discuss and teach people the benefits of uptaking, consuming natural remedies as opposed to pharmaceuticals? I'm going to direct that at you as well, Basil, afterwards.
Okay. Funny that you said that, because I do have a CMOS called Sunday CMOS. Sunday CMOS. I'm not going to put the pharmaceuticals down, because I think I'm not allowed to. But I would say that each for their own is your choice. I mean, I believe that what nature gives you, it gives you a solution for the root, the cause of the problem, rather than, all right, like you rightly said, rather than just an instant, what do you call it?
Gratification.
Instant fix. Exactly. That, but each to their own. I think a balance of both, it's a good beginning. And then it's up to you and how your body really, really reacts. But I am a great believer that nature provides everything that you need. And a lot of these pharmaceutical products come from nature. They have components that are made from nature. So I don't know if that answers your question.
One thing that is all connected, one thing that I can see is all connected, is the spirituality and the change of mindset. Because like people say, we are what we eat.
That's right.
We are what we eat.
We've got a little bit of time left.
Marlo.
Yeah, thank you, Kim. We've got a bit of time left. And I just want, before we kind of wrap up, I just want to really thank our international guests who've become like family now. And we want to keep that relationship going. We want to promote you. We want to partner with you. We want to support you, sponsor you. And we want to just do what we can for our family, because I think we as a network, we're stronger together. So, we do have an event coming up called, we have an event on the 15th of May. It's a launch event of the Legacy Foundation, where we're going to be featuring all of our networks and what they do to empower the next generation. Legacy is about, for me, it's about empowering those that are coming up behind us to find their purpose, find the right path, place them around the right people, help them to be productive, prosper, create wealth, and leave a legacy. So we just want to make sure that we have the right people in our networks that we can feature on that day. So we'd like to invite you and Regina and yourself, Liz, online on that day. If you're available, we'll send you a personal VIP invitation. And so we can promote you in the UK. We can promote what you do, promote who you are, and just get your story out there, because it's very inspirational, educational, and informative. So we just want to thank you and our local guests, Nina Graywood and Sandra Salazar. All right, thank you very much. But before that, can you just tell us how people can reach you and basically support you, partner with you, and just be a part of the program?
Okay, so you can reach me on Instagram at Go Grow With Love, or you can just send me an email and one of my sisters will get back to you on info@go-grow.org.uk.
Sorry, do you want to do that as well? Thank you. Do you want to do that as well, Regina and Liz?
Sure. Thank you so much, Marlo. For people can reach me. My Instagram is Wellbeing with Reg, REG, the first 3 letters of my first name. And then my website is wellbeingwithregina.com. So it's pretty easy. And before I, sort of wrap up, I wanted to finish up and kind of bring full circle what Kim had asked about, what you might want to suggest to, to your daughter, Marlo, about, what she's going through, because I didn't want to leave that hanging, because, that's very important. And it brings the point of, what Sandra does is, as much as she tries to incorporate, what she does with the children, she realizes that her son values something different than, the nature, right? Her son values the money part, the material part, which is perfect. He complements what she's doing. So, just one thing to think about when it comes to your daughter, I would say is just look for the light in her eyes, as far as asking her questions like, what made you happy today? And, be curious about what brings her joy. And then those are kind of the little like breadcrumbs that she'll give you as far as what you can nurture in her and, encourage for her to do more of, whether it's, oh, she loves to dance. Maybe she just wants to dance more. Maybe there's like a certain type of activity that she's not able to do now that she wasn't able to do. So it has no reflection of not receiving any of those 4 things from you necessarily. Maybe it's just something she's looking for with her friends or something else. So I feel like that's the best thing to do, is just be curious, with her, what's going on with her, what she wants, and what brings her happy, if that makes sense. What brings her happiness, if that makes sense. And then from there, it'll open up a whole world of solutions and suggestions that you can offer her that will provide her more happiness and comfort.
Regina, do you mean as well, like it rather than making it obvious, like you need to lose weight? Yeah, just talk about it in a different. Make her happy. Talk about something that's not about her weight.
Yeah,
I mean, make that secondary. I think in Lizzie's case, because I've been reading through some of the comments. I don't know what relation is that. Your dad, your brother? Who's that online, Liz?
I believe it's my dad, my mom, my brothers.
Right, okay. Because the comments, it said
that's my dad. Yeah,
we've remained in touch daily. So we celebrated every. I was just reading it now. Right, okay. So we remained in touch daily. So we celebrated every kilogram lost, and we gave daily encouragement on any attempt to lose weight. So her family, even though they weren't with her, they were in Kenya and she was in Australia. They were constantly encouraging her and celebrating every milestone, as minute as it might be. So I think in your case with your daughter, even if she doesn't lose any weight this week, still encourage her. Do you know what I mean? And rather than say, let's go to the gym, just say, let's take a walk down Bond Street. Do you get what I mean? Whatever, but don't make it about exercise. Make it about a bonding thing. And then the weight will come off.
Even dancing.
There you go.
I mean, dance is a perfect way to lose weight. I mean, you don't even know that you're doing it when you're having so much fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, but you haven't seen him dance.
Ooh.
Yeah, him and Raymond don't dance.
Do you want to read some more comments before we go?
I wanted to read the other comment that I saw.
There was a very good comment by a lady called I Am, which was about your daughter. If you go up again, yes. Yes, there we go. She said, join a walking club and nutrition education, perhaps a 30-day challenge. 30-day challenges are amazing. I love it. Really, because they give, especially if you're doing it with someone else, they really give you that to keep going. Because you really don't want to be the one that lets the team down. You just want to keep going for yourself. So they really there's some good 30-day challenges out there.
Walking's a good place to start, Marla, because if she does 1,000 miles today, 2,000 miles next week, slowly but surely.
1,000 miles.
You know what? You can do 1,000 steps. Sorry, not miles. 1,000 steps a day walking around in the house. You'd be surprised how many steps you do per day. They say, I think, an average of about 10,000 steps a day is, like a, but small steps. small steps, and before
Absolutely.
you know it, she'll get there herself. Do you understand? Because we all know, remember, as adults, and when someone's telling you and goading you about something, you tend to go the opposite way, don't you?
Exactly, and especially if it's something as personal as your weight, you're not going to be able,
Right.
you don't want to be around somebody that's constantly criticizing your weight. That's going to make you go and eat in secret.
Yeah,
exactly.
Small steps. She's got to change her mindset herself. You can try, but she has to do that herself, and she will get it. She will get it. I promise you, she will get it. You understand? But thank you very much, Regina, Liz, everybody. Thank you so much for the information that's been coming out. It's been absolutely fantastic, and I hope it's reached.
Definitely going to have to invite you back, Regina and Liz, at some point. I just want to, before I pass over to Basil, just want to really thank you, Regina. Thank you from America. You're Los Angeles, you're from, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, wow. And Liz from Australia via Kenya. So just want to thank our international guests. God bless you. Thank you for attending.
Very honored to be here.
Yeah, I want to thank our local guests, Sandra and Nina. And I'll pass over to you, Basil.
Yeah, well, there we have it. Another week. Amazing show. And we look forward to seeing you all next week. So watch out for this space next week, where we will be exploring wealth. Subject close to my heart. But yeah, seriously, I will be exploring wealth and how important it is to stay focused and to never forget the wealth. So, we'll look forward to that next week.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless. Take care. Bye for now.